Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nadia Sobrati coming to you live from Queens, New York from CreateWealthWithNadia.com. How is everyone doing today? I hope you guys are having an amazing day. When you guys jump in, please let me know where you're coming from and we're going to get started. So today's topic is, what is this topic? I forgot the topic. But anyway, it has to do the topic has to do with you're not just a body, right guys? So, you know, as you all know, I've been writing this book on quantum physics, the law of attraction, God is in our neurons. Well, I've been doing a lot of research, and from my research, a lot of things are like making sense to me, right? And that has a lot to do with a lot of things that I've actually been through in my life, spiritually. I was involved in a car accident in 2000. So almost October 24th will make it 19 years. So yeah, wow, that's a long time. I think I was 26 years old. Anyway, I was actually taking my brother to Westchester because he was actually graduating from school, and he was going to private school in Westchester. So he was graduating, and he was 18 years old. So he wanted me, you know, to help him pack his stuff at the private school he was staying at because he was graduating. So he was moving back home to my mother's house. So at that time, I was married. I had just gotten married, like I think 6 months. And, you know, my ex-husband had a driver. Well, we both had a driver, but it was really his driver. And I can't see you guys. I don't know who's here. I don't know if this is working. But anyway, guys, if you guys are here, please comment so I know who's here. I can't see anything, and I'm not sure if my phone is working correctly. So what happened was, he asked me, you know, to take him to Westchester. So I decided to take him to Westchester, right? And on our way there, my driver ran 6 red lights, and it happened so fast because I was arguing with him in the car. My brother was sitting in the front seat. I was sitting in the back, and I'm like, why are you driving so fast? Slow down. But I was also eating in the back seat, so I really wasn't paying attention to what he was doing, and I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. Nobody really wears their seatbelt in the back seat, right? So what happened was, my driver ran 6 red lights, and an 18-wheeler dump truck collided with us at an intersection. Now, I was sitting in the back seat, so the 18-wheeler dump truck didn't hit the car that I was sitting in head on like this, right? I was sitting on the side, this side, and it, you know, because we were driving this way and the truck was coming out this way. So it actually hit on my side where I was sitting. Guys, I swear, I only had seconds. I only had seconds, like maybe 1 or 2 seconds before the impact. So I saw the truck. It was a green truck, and I didn't have time to hold on or put on my seatbelt or anything. So the impact, you know, the impact, it was a really, really bad impact. So at that moment of impact, I felt sick. I felt nauseated. I felt, I didn't feel right. I felt like maybe I had taken, but I didn't. I felt like from the impact, I felt like I had taken like maybe 4 or 5 Valiums all at once, right? That's what it felt like. But I wasn't on any medication, any drugs. I wasn't drinking, anything like that. I was sober. I was eating in the backseat of the car. But the driver, from what I found out later on, because he left the scene of the accident, later on I found out he got arrested. And when they tested him, he had a lot of drugs in his system. Well, back then, my ex-husband, he didn't want to spend a lot of money, so he would pay these guys that probably just came out of jail, whatever, to help them, you know, and my ex-husband is a doctor. So he really wanted to help them. So he would help these people, these boys that came out of jail, and he would give them a job. Probably maybe, delivering specimen and driving his cars and stuff like that. So he was our driver, but I had no idea this guy was even in prison. I had no idea, you know. And I'd known him, the guy, for about a year. But anyway, guys, he ran 6 red lights, and I don't know why he did that. Maybe he had gotten into an argument with my husband at the time. Well, it's my ex-husband now. And he probably was angry. And maybe that's why. I don't know why he ran 6 red lights. But I was in the back seat. I wasn't paying attention, but I noticed that he was driving fast. And I looked up and I saw him when he ran 2 red lights. And I was like, what are you doing? Slow down. I was like, you're driving way too fast. Why are you driving so fast? Next thing I knew, like a big, huge truck was coming out of an intersection and bam, hit on my side. It impacted on the exact side where I was sitting in. And I got a scar from here guys, it was bad. It was from here all the way down. I have 150 stitches, but you can't see that. So anyway, you know, after the impact, my brother was sitting in the front seat, and I could hear my brother saying, "Oh my God, my sister's bleeding, my sister's bleeding." The driver got out of our car, and he ran. He left the scene of the accident. He did not even call the ambulance or anything like that. And what happened was, my brother called the ambulance. Once the ambulance got there and the paramedics got there, I was bleeding out. But I didn't know where the blood was coming from. I had no, like, I couldn't really think anything. It was just like I couldn't move. Like, the impact was so hard that I couldn't move, right? So by the time when we got to the hospital, the Bellevue Hospital, no, when the ambulance came and the paramedics put me in the inside the ambulance, in the stretcher, I can hear my brother screaming, "Please don't let my sister die. Please don't let my sister die." At that point, the paramedics now, they're trying to keep me awake because I'm in and out of consciousness. They're trying to keep me awake. The paramedics like, "Please don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep. Stay with me. Stay with me. Look at me in my eyes." So the paramedics was trying to talk to me the whole time, but I was going in and out of consciousness, right? So what happened was, I can hear my brother screaming, guys. And at that point, from hearing my brother screaming, that tone of voice, I knew. And from how I was feeling, I knew I was dying. I knew that my soul was preparing itself to leave my body. Anyway, when we got to the hospital, my family was there. My ex-husband, well, at the time I was married. You know, my ex-husband is a doctor, a surgeon. So at that time, he contacted his parents. They lived in Seattle. They flew into New York. And my mother was here, you know, they were in the emergency room. Well, they were on their flight from Seattle to New York. So, but my mother and my sisters and my siblings and my ex-husband was in the hospital in the emergency room waiting for me, in the waiting area. They were waiting for me. So when the paramedics got me to the emergency room, they rushed me right in because it was really, really bad accident, right? So what happened was they cut out all my clothes. They put me on a metal table. And they started running some tests. They did a CAT scan, they did brain scan, they did a whole bunch of things. And then my body started going into shock. I started going into shock and I flatlined. Now, before I flatlined, I started going into shock and I could hear the doctor saying, "Code blue, code blue, code blue, code blue," you know? But back then, guys, I didn't know what that meant. I was 26 years old. I was young. I didn't have a medical background then like I do now. Like I understand a lot of things now. Back then, I was young. I was 26 years old, you know? So I could hear the doctors screaming, "Code blue, code blue, code blue." Next thing I knew, I flatlined. And when I flatlined, guys, I was in this dark, dark room. There was no light whatsoever. There was no light at all. I was in this dark, dark room. And in this dark, dark room, I'm standing there, but I'm standing there in spirit. I'm not in the flesh. I cannot see my body. I'm in no body. It was just like I'm there in spirit, right? So I'm standing there and there's no light. And all of a sudden I saw a sprinkler, a little sprinkler like this big of light, like a gold light. And then it started growing really, really big into this big, huge doorway. Now it grew into this big, huge doorway. And I'm standing there in front of the doorway and I'm saying, "Why am I here?" Like, consciously though, consciously, I'm there consciously, right? I'm there consciously. It's hard for me to explain it to you guys, but I'm there consciously. So, but I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing there. And I'm standing there, but there's like no thoughts. Like I have no thoughts. The only thing, like the only thoughts I was going through my head was, what am I doing here? But you know what? That big, huge light was so peaceful and so welcoming, right, guys? And what happened was there was a silhouette of a man. He was like about 6 feet tall, wearing a hat like what my grandfather used to wear, but my grandfather passed away like when I was 9 years old. So what happened was, so this man now is standing in the doorway and blocking me from going towards the light, right? So I'm standing there, but the light is so inviting and it's so peaceful, and I want to go towards the light, but I couldn't move. And the reason why I couldn't move is because my soul was still attached to my body, but I was having an out-of-body experience where my soul came out of my body, but it was still attached. That cord was not broken. Now, if that cord was broken, I would have been dead. Now, guys, that cord is our energy. Where does that come from? That comes from our neurons, All right, that's where our energy comes from. That's where our soul comes from. And I, now that I'm writing this book, because I've always been curious as to where, and even though I did a lot of research in the past, I couldn't find the answers that I was looking for as I am now. And now I'm finding the answers that I'm writing this book. And I'm writing this book in a way so a lot of you can understand, because a lot of people don't understand the law of attraction. They don't understand quantum physics. They don't understand where your energy comes from, right? So in this book, I'm sharing my personal story, and I'm writing everything. But what happened was, guys, after I woke up like 3 days in ICU, but my mother and my ex-father-in-law, they were in the chapel praying for the whole 3 days. The doctors wasn't expecting me to make it. They wasn't expecting me to make it. They wasn't expecting me to come out of that, because I was in a coma for 3 days. And that's why, they notified all my family members. They're like, listen, she's not going to make it. We need you guys to come here. And in ICU, and I woke up in ICU 3 days after. I remember this spiritual experience like it happened yesterday. And this happened almost 19 years ago. So I remember waking up in ICU, and I had all these machines hooked up to me and everything. And my ex-husband, at the time we were married, he was sitting right next to me, in ICU, because they only allowed him in. They didn't allow my mother, my family members. They didn't allow anyone else. They only allowed my husband, because we were married and he's a doctor, right? So they allowed him in to stay with me. So he was with me for the whole 3 days, sitting in a chair next to my bed while I was in a coma. Now I remember waking up from this coma now 3 days after, and the first thing that came out of my mouth that I turned around and I saw him sitting there in a chair, like humped over at my bed like this. And I turned around and I woke up and I said, oh my God, I saw the light. That's where I was. This exists. And during that time though, guys, I had no idea I died. I had no idea what was code blue. I had no idea what was those things. I had no idea until later on I started doing research. And when I studied medicine was when I started learning all these things. But back then I didn't know all these things. So guys, because of that experience, even though I've always been very spiritual and I've seen things people cannot see, after that experience, it has opened up it has opened up doors where I know the spiritual realm exists. A lot of people, because you can't see it, doesn't mean it's not there. And I know for a fact it's there, because I've seen spiritual stuff on numerous occasions, not just once or twice. I've seen orbs. I've seen a lot of spiritual things, and orbs, they are spirit energy. They're the energy of a soul, So I've seen these things. I've seen them numerous times on my videos. I've seen them like floating around with my bare eyes. I've seen them, all different colors. But all of this started happening to me after my accident. So there's some correlation there when I crossed over and when I came back, So I wanted to share that with you guys. So in my book that I'm writing, God is in Your Neurons, it's about the law of attraction, quantum jumping, quantum physics. And, the reason why I wanted to write this book, because I understand it, and it correlates with what I actually went through. And now that I'm writing this book, I just finished 5 chapters, guys. I got a lot more chapters to do, and I'm creating, I'm creating images for this book, and it's going to be a flip page. So I've been doing a lot of work. So I just wanted to share that with you all. A lot of people don't believe the soul exists, and I got to tell you guys something. The soul exists, because you cannot see it. Doesn't mean it isn't there. There's so many things that are going on in our universe that we don't even know how to explain, And so I felt very motivated writing this book. So let me give you guys a shout out. So hey Jag, what's going on, beautiful? Hey Michael. Hey Sam. Hey Usher. Hey Ronald. So what's going on, everyone? So I just wanted to share that with you all. So what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having an amazing day. And I just wanted to share that with you all, because as you all know, I haven't been doing much lives lately. And you need to go live, guys, to stay on top of it. Because the minute you kind of like stop going live, or the minute you haven't gone live in a while, you feel uncomfortable when you go live, So I just wanted to share that with you all. So for people who don't believe that the soul exists, and how our words and prayers affect us, you guys need to do some research and start really thinking about things. Because when I was in the ambulance and my brother started screaming, please don't let my sister die, please don't let my sister die, I knew I was dying. I felt my soul leaving. I felt my soul was preparing itself to leave my body. And I started praying to God. I started reciting the Lord's Prayer, the Our Father prayer. I started reciting that. And I started talking to God. I started connecting with God in the ambulance because I knew I was dying. I felt it. You know, I knew I was dying. So I started talking to God and I was like, God, please don't let me die. I'm 26 years old. I'm not ready to die. There's so much I have to do, you know. And I have, guys, because I have a strong feeling that because I prayed that Our Father prayer in the ambulance, there's the reason why I'm here. And it wasn't my time to go. That's why that silhouette of a man, I don't know who he is because he was so dark. It could be my grandfather because my grandfather used to wear a hat just like that. And my grandfather was tall, but my grandfather was big. The silhouette of a man, he was like skinny and tall. So maybe it could have been my grandfather. I don't know, you know. But because I said that prayer, that's why that man appeared. It had to be an angel. It had to be an angel. I don't know which one, you know, but it had to be an angel. It had to be some of my family members who passed away. I have no idea, you know. But this person never talked to me. He just looked at me and he went like this. And every time I would try to go towards the light, he would move back and forth from the light, like blocking me, like, you know. So if that cord had broken or, you know, guys, I wouldn't be here to talk about this. So I am here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. And I'm still trying to figure out what that reason is, you know. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. And listen, I love you guys. If you guys need anything, send me a message on Messenger and I'll be more than happy to get back to you guys. I love you guys and enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll talk to you all later, okay? Bye, everyone.